Greetings to my subscribers and new viewers. Today, we will plunge into a conversation with you about the mysterious continent of Antarctica. Yes, this continent is really mysterious, as there are many questions and almost no answers to it. Free access to a citizen of the planet is closed there, but high-ranking officials of different states from all over the world go there, and this raises other questions. According to the generally accepted opinion, Antarctica was discovered by people only in 1820, a little over 200 years ago. Is it possible, however, that this most mysterious of all continents was in fact not only discovered, but also inhabited by people before the global catastrophe? After some evidence has been unearthed, it is highly likely that this is true. About Antarctica itself, in our time it is not difficult to find any information, but only all the information provided in the public domain is quite boring and monotonous. Well, for example, Antarctica is the coldest continent, and apart from penguins, no one else lives there. The temperature there sometimes reaches -90 degrees Celsius. The coldest and fastest winds blow there, reaching speeds of more than 300 kilometers per hour. The mainland itself can even be used as a huge refrigerator due to the constant cold and clean air. Well, and so on, and in such spirit. In our time, you will not hear anything from what may go beyond the unusual. But you need to understand that Antarctica was made closed to the average layman, not because someone cares about nature for future descendants or something like that, but because most likely there is something to hide there. And this whole situation becomes not entirely pleasant even for the reason that the sponsors of all these expeditions and living on the mainland are we, the taxpayers. I also want to draw your attention to the fact that the main part of Antarctica is a fairly high mainland. And this height is measured not in tens of meters and not even in hundreds, but in some places in kilometers. It is for this reason that it is difficult for the participants of the Antarctic expeditions to breathe. The participants themselves mention this. Ships that ply to Antarctica are also not always and everywhere able to moor to a low coast, as we are used to. And there is a lot of video evidence of this. On official Google Maps, Antarctica as a continent looks like a boring and dull mainland. You look at the map from the application, and apart from lack of interest and boredom, nothing appears. But if you start to study it even in the form in which the mainland is shown, then you will have a lot of unanswered questions. Selectively moving the cursor over the territory of the mainland, the heights of the continent are impressive, which we are not used to when visiting popular places on our Earth. And this is one of the first things that catches your eye. For example, let's take as a reference point already familiar to us from the previous story about a giant underwater wall, the American polar station McMurdo. It is clearly seen that the station is located at a height of 150 meters from the ocean level, and this is almost at the edge of the coast. But further down the slope, the adjacent mountain goes up to 1.5 kilometers. In fact, this is quite high, only Google Maps do not let you realize this. Immediately I found a simply invisible mountain, which is displayed as a snowy plain, but at the same time the altimeter shows a height of 3,500 meters. It's weird. And this is where the question arises. Is it that so much snow has piled up that everything has leveled off into a straight horizon, and under the snow is a giant mountain 3.5 kilometers long? Or maybe something is hidden here from prying eyes by covering it with a picture with a horizontal plane, but at the same time leaving points of reference heights. Well, the Titan pictures in a common center, not reflecting the reality of events, cannot leave indifferent and inquisitive mind. Looks quite strange and unnatural. What do you think about this? Write in the comments below this video. To me, your opinion is interesting. Recently, I managed to get some interesting material regarding Antarctica, and as I mentioned in one of the previous video stories, I want to share with you the information received. Thanks to a source who wishes to remain anonymous, secret photographs have been released that were taken during Admiral Byrd's expeditions to Antarctica in the 1940 and 1950, codenamed Operation High Jump and Deep Freeze. Although these studies were presented to the public as purely scientific, the real purpose of these numerous and expensive visits to the southernmost continent was to explore and document the existence of a highly advanced ancient civilization that apparently once inhabited this continent. The author of the submitted materials claims that the present volume, entitled Mysterious Antarctica, contains more than 100 shocking photographs from the expeditions of Byrd over more than a decade. Photographic evidence clearly shows that Antarctica was not only well known in the past, but also frequently visited, and moreover, it was the center of, perhaps, a prehistoric empire that spanned our entire world. Some researchers also believe that the disappeared empire coincides with the so-called Quatria Empire, which was once considered mythological and was subjected to severe repression by the powers that be. I have materials about this mysterious civilization, all that remains is to familiarize yourself and share them with you. On this topic, I will also make a separate video story. So, subscribe to our channel right now, so as not to miss the interesting. And so, radiocarbon dating suggests that Byrd's incredible Antarctic artifacts are not just hundreds or thousands of years old, but in fact they could be much older. But let's not forget that radiocarbon dating is just a guess and is not an exact science. All this, I mean the received approximate dates of the artifacts, of course pushes what we know about human history to a completely different era. In addition, some artifacts and technologies found there threaten our very understanding of science. That is why these photographs and the accompanying documentary evidence were hidden for decades, so as not to sow mass panic among the population. Indeed, in one of the interviews, Admiral Byrd himself emphasized that what they encountered on the mainland could pose a threat to all of us. And here it is worth considering. I agree, these words can have an ambiguous meaning. But as we know, there is no smoke without fire. Further, you will see that the expedition not only found old ruined palaces, temples, obelisks, and all kinds of monumental works of art, but they also found caves where tropical plants still grew, heated by mysterious sources of heat and light. They found what can be called otherwise as between spatial portals, which seem to be sources of endless energy and through which, according to legend, some members of the expeditions passed. Unfortunately, there is no access to documentary evidence of what lies on the other side of these portals, but perhaps in the near future this information will be made public. Although the history of human colonization of Antarctica is controversial, the fact remains. The evidence for the existence of ancient human civilizations is irrefutable, and the more it accumulates, the more convincing it becomes. From the total available collection of photos, I have chosen only a few, otherwise this video story would have turned out to be very long. I must also make a reservation that the photographs that you see, the faces of the expedition members, were erased. I believe you can guess why. In the first part, we will get acquainted with the found ruins. Have you ever wondered why no one is allowed into Antarctica and no country, as it were, owns the continent? Unknown to almost everyone due to the incredible success of the official cover-up, Antarctica is actually littered with ancient ruins of all shapes and sizes. Particularly prominent are obelisks, pyramidal structures, temples with columns, geometric temple complexes, and more. Of course, all these architectural features, in many ways coincide with the stars in the night sky. Based on ancient secret writings, some researchers believe that this was the very lost civilization of Quatria. All that remains after the global catastrophe is largely a ruin. Many pyramids and temple structures in Antarctica have obelisks as well as other unusual features such as ziggurats, and the temples themselves also vary in design. While some appear to be made of sandstone, others are made of granite, and many of them are decorated with stunning bas-reliefs, depicting the events of the Quatrian Empire, and even have a map of the ancient world with Antarctica in the center. No wonder these incredible discoveries were completely covered up. If they got out, they would destroy the current world history, creating a completely different view of past events. All these and other photos, not included in this short video, are really impressive. Looking at these ruins and the remains of monuments, one involuntarily compares with what is available on our continents. To the naked eye, the resemblance is obvious, which indicates a possible common past, because such structures are found almost everywhere. What do you think about this? Write in the comments here under the video. Thank you for watching this video to the end. And do not forget to subscribe to our channel, it will be interesting.